Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. In James chapter 4, it becomes pretty clear that James is speaking to worldly Christians. He says in verse 4, "You adulteresses, do you not know that friendship with the world is hostility toward God?" So he calls them friends of the world, or we could say worldly. And it's important to note what the source of this worldliness was. And it basically boils down to the self. They were living a selfish life. Starting in verse 1, he says, "What is the source of quarrels and conflicts among you? Is it not the source your pleasures that wage war in your members? You lust and you do not have, so you murder. You are envious and cannot obtain, so you fight and quarrel." They're living a very selfish life, living for pleasure, living for what would benefit them, living a life of pride and self-exaltation. They were just living a selfish life, and as a result of that, they were called worldly. And these two things go hand in hand. A person who is selfish utilizes the things of the world to do what pleases self. If a person is prideful and they want to exalt self, they're going to utilize the things in the world to make that happen. Or if a person is pleasure seeking, they're going to use the world to satisfy their desire for pleasure. And so worldliness and selfishness go hand in hand. And this becomes a very important thing to realize, because a person who realizes, you know what, I've become worldly, I'm living too much for the world, and that sort of thing, if they just try to just stop being a person of the world, it's going to become very difficult. If we want to become less worldly, first we have to deal with self. And that's what James encourages them to do. And the best way to deal with self is through humility, through humbling ourselves. When we humble ourselves, we deflate the ego within us, we deflate self within us. And in doing so, then we can overcome worldliness. After talking about how worldly they were, he goes on to say, "But he gives a greater grace. Therefore it says, God is opposed to the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Be subject, therefore, to God. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded. Be miserable and mourn and cry. Let your laughter be turned into mourning and your joy to gloom. Humble yourselves in the presence of the Lord, and he will exalt you." In other words, you got to humble yourself. The way to overcome worldliness is to become selfless, less of self in your life, and to turn your heart and your attention to God. If we just try to overcome worldliness by just trying to, fight it head on, in all likelihood, we won't succeed. The source of worldliness is selfishness, and we have to deal with the self and humble ourselves before God. So if we find ourselves slipping into worldliness, let's humble ourselves before God. Let's recognize that the source of our worldliness really lies within our self-seeking, and then I use that as motivation to say, you know what, I'm not going to be self-seeking anymore. I'm going to be God-seeking. And in doing so, as I turn my heart, my attention to God, as I resist the devil, as I humble myself before the Lord, worldliness will just naturally dissolve. And once again, I'll have my heart aligned again with God's purposes, no longer being pulled in all different directions by the world, but being able to stay focused, to walk that narrow road that Christ calls me to walk. A life in which we deny ourselves, take up our cross, and follow him. So let's be encouraged to do that today as we read James chapter 4. And with that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.